We also have some breaking news on efforts to contain the coronavirus in a city hit hard. New Rochelle, New York, just north of New York City. Joining me now is NBC News correspondent Ron Allen. Ron, what can you tell us? I understand Governor Cuomo just made some news.
He did, Chris. He's calling in the National Guard to help set up what's called a containment area around a hotspot, a cluster. New Rochelle has over 100 confirmed cases. It's a suburb just on the edge of New York City, about 73,000 people or so. And it's been linked to what the governor has described as the most difficult outbreak to contain. All this linked to a lawyer who lives out there, who works in Midtown Manhattan, who was tested positive for the virus about a week or so ago. And most of the cases have spread from him and his family through community contact, through local contact. How he first acquired the virus is still unknown. It's part of this community spread problem. Here the approach has been to try and isolate individuals who have the disease and to try to contain it. And now in this town of 73,000 people, they are trying to set up a 1-mile containment area around the hotspot. A lot of this is traced back to a Jewish synagogue where the family and others attended a number of religious services and events. And there was apparently community spread of the virus by hand touching, by coughing, by close contact between individuals. And so now for the first time, we're hearing about a situation in this community where the governor has targeted this cluster of cases and they're trying to contain it. They're trying to contain it in as many ways as possible, again, with the help of the National Guard, who are going to be focusing on transportation systems, on infrastructure, not trying to contain people so much as trying to contain activities within a geographic district, trying to reduce travel, trying to help with deliveries and items. They believe that the virus has been spread by people touching hands, by people moving throughout the community. So it's a very unique situation. During the days that this outbreak has been going on, we've yet to hear of a situation like this in New York. And it's focused on this suburb, not the city of New York, which is millions of people, where, of course, there's a lot of concern about the subway and other areas. This is a very unique situation, not one that we've not really heard much about in other parts of the country either, for that matter. A suburban community, some 70,000 people or so, where there has been a particular case, a key case of community spread directly connected to an individual and his family, and the spread has gone out in ripples in recent days, and now the effort is to try and contain it. Again, the recent number is 108 cases in a state where there are about 150 total. So that gives you an extent of the severity of the problem. But the governor now trying to take these drastic steps, these serious and focused steps to try and contain the virus.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.